realizing
What?
I just realized I don't have the list in front of me, but I will in about 30 seconds.
Oh, well, we'll just let you get to your office.
Jake,
Sorry
can you
about
make it
that.
a little bit bigger? Or is it just me that can't see that?
I have to move it to a bigger screen and enlarge it. You have such great, good stuff on it.
Wordy though. Oh. Thank you, Jake.
Is the thing go on this morning?
Yep, we're all ready.
I'm here.
I may need to come over there tonight for the meeting because I'm not sure if I can initiate a Teams meeting on my system with the city.
Linda, if you have difficulty, just stay in touch with Stephanie. Ryan can make anybody the moderator.
Once we're on.
Well, even if you say you don't want any part of being the host, and would he please make Shawn the host? He can do that too. They're just flying by the seat of their pants.
I think what I can do, I think what I heard I could do is I can be the host. I can go into exec session with you guys, but before you start, then I'll make someone else perhaps co-host, and then I can get out and it won't drop it. So I could try to facilitate that. We're going to look into all the different nuances today.
Shawn.
Okay. Yeah.
Is now exiting.
I've had trouble because of my DU Microsoft accounts. I can access those 5 accounts, those 5 general groups really easily. But because they're separate, I can't get. I still haven't figured it out. Unless I have an invite from you all, I don't seem to be able to even get into the city system. So, but
Okay,
I'm sure once.
Yeah, that's good to know that we will not make you in charge of that, because it may take everyone down. But if one of us can do it, send out the invites, and then get out of it, I wonder if that's a better fit, or, if someone else wants to, that's going into exec session, if we can make them technically the host.
That makes sense.
It's your preference. We can do it either way.
Yeah, I think I'd rather have Shawn or
Okay.
Allison the host.
Okay.
So I don't mess it up for you all.
That sounds good.
All right. Is it ready to record?
It's recording.
Oh, it is recording. All right.
Sorry about that, everybody.
That's okay. It's 8:36 and it's the mayor-manager meeting. In the room are Linda Olson, Mayor, Allison McKinney Brown, Jay Truscott Reed, Mayor Pro Tem Sierra, Stephanie Carlisle, and Shawn Lewis.
Thanks, Mayor. Just to start with the July 6th meeting, we have 2 study session items right now: the 2019 financial audit, the update regarding Tri-Cities homelessness study, which will be presented by a couple of people from DU. Moving on to consent agenda, we have a handful of items: professional services agreement renewal, water rights engineering support, the same type of agreement before water rights legal support services, award of a contract to Chavez Construction for a 2020 mill and overlay project, floodplain language adoption, and that's first reading, okay. And then back to consent, a couple of more consent items. CB number 24, 2020 IGA for Inglewood Trolley cost sharing. Another bill for an ordinance to submit a ballot issue to electors regarding the lodger's sales tax increase. And then a bill concerning the creation and organization of the Inglewood Downtown Development Authority. Rounds it out.
Great. And I think those consent ones are the ones I had that were 7-0, so.
Great.
But the, oh yeah, the lodger's tax, it's one of those consents. Okay.
I am going to have your, yesterday, Madeline and I finished the strategic plan, so I'm going to be adding that. Sorry, clerk's office, that I'm late getting that in, but that'll be on the 6th as well. Moving on
Could I ask a question? Just because
Mhm.
I don't want to bring it up at the end, but just the fact that we're pushing the police town hall. What was our decision last night? Because it sounded like we could really only do the 6th if we wanted to have all 7 members there. It didn't sound like we wanted to push it off to the 13th. You know, is there a possibility that we could add it to the 6th as part of a study session? And I guess my question would be, are there any items that are part of the council meeting that we could push off to the 20th? If we were to do that, if we went long, I guess would be my question.
Yes, I think we can push off the financial audit, probably not, right?
Right. Well, actually, you could push that off.
Okay. And the homeless study is just an update, and it's going through an update for an extension. Will that come before us then, Shawn? To vote
The extension?
Yeah, on a no-cost extension.
My understanding was that Devin had already signed it.
Okay, that doesn't come before us then. Okay.
I'll double check that, but I don't believe so.
Okay.
And then we have 4 consent agenda items. And really 1 first reading, 1 award, and then 1 second reading.
Yeah.
So potentially we could add it if we could push those 2 study session items, but going to Member Stone's point, he's thinking it's going to be a very long discussion. What that means, I'm not sure, but.
Well, I think we probably need to frame it really well. We're learning about some things about what are the new, I want to make sure that the people who are presenting actually are not just talking about criminal justice reform overall, because we can't impact that by the city, but we can, we would have to join in with others on that countywide, statewide, but around policing. And so I want to make sure, and this didn't dawn on me till last night when we were talking, and criminal justice was used over and over, which is what the policing are involved in. But it's got to be around policing. What can we do? How can we analyze and review our own police department and figure out how to help them be their very best given the changes in the world and how we're doing things? And do we need to be doing different training? And some of it's an update. So to me, I don't know, Shawn, if the 2 people are of that background. Because I don't know. It's a chief and 2 others, right, so far that we had?
Right.
Yeah.
I can kind of get a vita from them.
And I think, Allison, you were going to try and get some folks around policing, right? So go ahead.
I have not yet made the phone call, but I will make a phone call today to see if we can get someone in the local academic area.
And I agree with you, Mayor, that I do believe that the scope should be limited to Inglewood policing. And like you said, how can we better ourselves and prevent any issues moving forward? So I agree with it.
Yeah. Okay. And I think that's what others were expecting. But when we start talking about criminal justice reform, I want to make sure that isn't this broader topic that we can't have. I want to start where we can.
Yeah, that's a big umbrella.
Yeah. So
actually, Jade, I think we'd put maybe police reform, Mayor.
Police. Yeah, I don't want to signal that we're doing something yet.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Policing, understanding policing in the 21st century. I don't know. Something like that.
Policing practices.
Yeah, maybe that's it. And it's, yeah.
I could see that going pretty long though.
Yeah, because really what we did is we I mean, if we were to follow My Brother's Keepers, it's really their first thing is, well, I can't remember what all the 4 points are, but it's really basically just doing a review and understanding what new practices are or different things that we do differently. And the state has already told us a couple things we have to do differently, which we're on board with anyway. So it's not a big deal. I mean, it is a big deal because the liability issue is still unclear. But so from beyond that, what are we talking about? Is that what you were thinking too, Nathaniel?
Yeah, I think I'm in agreement with that.
Shawn and Allison, is that your understanding of where we're headed with this as well?
Absolutely.
Yes.
Okay.
And we can think about other names. I mean, policing practices and educational update. I don't know. In the review, if you want the word review in there, we can do that too. But we can give you some ideas after the fact. Yeah, maybe policing practices review. Because that's really what it is. And the big long list that you guys came up with, the outline, it really is a review of what we currently do and maybe any plans, and any plans that the chief and the commanders have for, changes, improvements, et cetera.
So, and I think John Stone and I had a quick conversation yesterday about it, and I think that's where he is too. And I said, if we can't, I told him I didn't think we were going to be able to do this because of the number of people, that I really wanted to encourage us to have everybody there. And he agreed, but I said, it might be good if the white paper or whatever it is, the statement that the chief is making came out ahead of time so that we could take a look at that and then say, what more can we be doing to create a really 21st century oriented policing organization?
Yes.
And I don't know what that is. So I am not an expert in it. And I do not want to pretend I'm an expert in it. I just want to make sure we facilitate what's needed.
Well, the council memo / white paper, the plan was to get it out by Thursday. So I know John has had his folks writing away, several different people in the department. We probably would, if we're going to move that to the week of the 6th, we'd probably put that out on July 2nd, which I'm sure he would appreciate the extra time. But are we still thinking the week of the 6th for this special meeting?
Yeah. Well, either that or if we can as Nathaniel said, if we can move the Tri-Cities homelessness out, we can gain some time there. We could start at 5:30 and say we're going to go 5:30 to 7 hard stop, and it's a panel. There's presentation from a few of them or each of them, and then we have Q&A with us asking questions. And if they had the white paper ahead of time to say, here are some things you could consider, or, you're doing this really well, or this, and ask some questions, it'd be a great interchange. Exchange. I don't know. Interaction. Wrong word. It's early.
Very early.
I don't know why 8:30 is so early.
Because we went till 10:30.
Yeah.
We can make whatever work.
Okay,
I think I think trying to, like you said, Mayor, pushing off the Tri-City, starting at 5:30. We may want to reach out to council and see if an hour and a half is going to be enough in their estimation. But I think that's the right plan, because it sounded like Member Anderson cannot make it that week after Monday.
Right. And I think Member Cuesta also had some challenges. So maybe that's our start. And we say, this is how long it's going to be. We're going to go through it for this. Maybe ahead of time, we ask everybody to read the 21st Century Police doc that Allison sent us. You sent that to all of us, didn't you, Allison?
Yeah, I sent
the one on Friday.
Yeah.
That could be another thing. Everybody reads it. I think that's really helpful. If everybody reads that ahead of time, that's part of the packet. Do you think that would be useful?
We can certainly add it.
I was going to say, I sent it out because it provides, see, Nathaniel, it's not just you. It provides a broad overview of what the current issues are so that people have a framework in which to have the conversation. So I'm hoping that people read it. And even though it's kind of a long document, I think it's probably 20 minutes to read over that first section.
Yeah, well, maybe we send a memo about that this week saying that on the 6th, we're going to do this. And one of the things we'd like you to read is that document, which is longer. We don't want to tell you to do that next Thursday, but say this Thursday in the next 2 weeks, be reading it. I think it's a helpful framing. The target study was also very good. But yeah. There are a couple of CPR or NPR pieces from the last couple of days or weeks that were also just really helpful for me. I don't know if people would want to listen to those. It's just a background to the info, but we haven't kind of done that kind of stuff before, but maybe we put a few things together, but say for sure read the 21st century packet just to get some framing and then whoever we have talk it through. And yeah, that makes sense. Can we do it like that?
Sure.
Thank you.
All right. Want to move on to the 13th?
Yes.
Okay, we'll get those emails out today about the postponement indefinitely of the off-leash dog rule. Any rule changes?
You know what I wanted to say to that is if people still want to come in your memo to them, if they still want to come and say something, we don't want to stop that. I just don't want them to think we're making a decision. But you know, I mean, in the communication with them, say we are pushing it off. But if they, you know, given the fact that we don't want to stop people from speaking at meetings, and if people think we are unable to get people to come, if they come, it'd be good to show that actually people can come if they want to. So anyway, that's just a comment.
Okay. Yeah, no, we'll make sure that point is made. And then we've got the City Center redevelopment update on study session, civilian oversight, methods of law enforcement. That one's yours, I think, Allison.
This is the civilian, this is the
Oversight
This
committee.
is the review committee. Thank you.
citizen advisor. I would prefer to call it citizen advisory committee or something like, or police. Is that what it is?
No, it's just actually it's educational as well.
Okay.
And I wrote the iCompass because it's educational, and I again relied on what the Department of Justice has out there, and they a lot of times, well, most of the Department of Justice documentation calls it civilian oversight methods, but since there's 9 different methods that the Department of Justice recognizes, I think this first discussion is mostly educational so that council has an idea of options. And I am not the presenter on that. Right at the moment, I think the chief would prefer Alex present on that, but I'm not exactly sure how that's falling.
I really like that. I like that now framing. I think that's great. We get to find out more about 21st century policing the first week. The second week, we look at oversight methods. I didn't even know there were, you know, categories of methods.
Okay. And then we've got the audit moved down to this meeting. And then we'll move the Tri-Cities homelessness study update there as well. And goodness, this is quite a study session list. Court update with the judge.
That's just way too much. We can't do all that, especially with the DDA on there again. Or no, that's a redevelopment, but I am keeping track of how long it takes people to do things compared to what we put on them. And last night it was obvious that Peter usually always takes 15 to 20 minutes more than we give him. It's fine. He's got the most technical stuff to explain to us. And then also the DDA, it's way beyond what we normally say it's going to take. So either we adjust the timing of these and just go with it, knowing that's what it's going to be, or we give them a really strict amount of time to present.
Wait, I have a question. So were we talking about the 13th or are we talking about the 20th? Because it looks like the court update's on the 20th.
Oh, thank you. I wasn't seeing the change in date. So, but yeah, it's still a pretty beefy study session list, but we might be able to get through it.
Oh, that's right. We're putting off-leash dog program into the future. I forgot about that too.
Yeah, actually, that's only four.
That is, yeah.
4 items.
You're right.
Okay, so if we're okay with that, moving on to the 20th of July, we've got the court update. And actually, that's going to be a very short update unless council has lots of, oh, wait, was that a 30-minute? Is that what they entered for the actual video, Jade?
So it'll be a shorter video, but they gave 30 minutes for discussion. That's just what they suggested for the entire thing, with back and forth with council.
Yeah, depending on how many questions council has, the video is not long at all. I mean, it's under 5 minutes, I think. And the judge and Tamara let me know that they did not think that there was going to be much additional information beyond that, more just introductory comments.
Could they provide some stats, some data on a piece of paper or some kind of a document? Electronic is fine. I don't know what I'm thinking. I think that's what gets lost with some of this is, how many cases do they hear? What kinds of cases? It gives us an idea of what's happening in our community, of who's having to come before the court.
Okay. Yes.
I mean, I know that the judge is really nervous about interacting with us around policy, but the only way we're going to know, oh my gosh, there's lots of, urination in the park cases or whatever it is. Those things point to some human issues that we've got to deal with differently or could consider different approaches. So I'd like to know that kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm. Okay. We will pass that on. And then we have a resolution for Police Rugged Computers Project, an IGA regarding Department of Revenue Sales and Use Tax software. That's all right now we have on there. I might suggest that because the 20th is so short, we could, well, you may want to do this at the end, but plug in one of those like the pesticide topic or something else on the 20th. But do you want to talk about all that at the end of the?
Well, maybe now it's the time to start figuring out where to put those in, because we could start with the 13th.
Yeah.
Well, the 13th might be do we know how long the civilian oversight's going to be? And like you stated, the redevelopment discussion always seems to go longer. That to me already seems like an hour and a half between the two of them, if not more.
I think just the presentation is going to be 20 minutes. And then I would expect there to be a lot of questions. So setting for less than 30 minutes, I think would be an underestimate.
Yeah.
So maybe we just have those two topics that night. And although we already got a memo on the pesticide usage for the city last year. Well, when was that?
I think it was late last year or early part of this year. Yeah, I don't think that's going to be a super long discussion, actually.
Pesticides?
No, because I mean, we're already doing so much to reduce those. I think it's going to be more, here's what we're doing and here's the plan to get to zero, and then just council, questions. But
then let's do it that night, because we took the off leash off. Let's do it that night. Just have those three things.
Okay.
And then we could give Councilmember Wink, you know, our view on, I don't know what CML has before them. I don't know. I don't think they have anything right now because the legislature isn't going to be in session. Yeah, if we can just do those three things. I know that the city center redevelopment update, is that going to be very long? There you go. Now it's my home.
Did they indicate that, Jade?
This was entered before we moved to our lovely form. I will reach out and get a time estimate for that.
Great.
Mayor, we're up to 5 items on that night.
Wait,
13th.
what are the other ones? I'm sorry. You know what?
The Tri-City homeless and
I'm looking
financial
at
audit.
I'm sorry. I'm not looking. I am looking at my own on that, not the one
Right.
you were working on, Jade. Sorry about that. No,
But I think it still works though. If I'm looking
Right.
at it, if we're looking at an hour and a half for the redevelopment and the oversight, like you said, I don't expect pesticides to go very long either, but it'd be good to get that update.
okay. Thank you. I've got Jade's screen up now. Sorry about that.
And certainly the 27th, you know, is much shorter already, if we wanted to put pesticides there, but I think we could do the 5 items.
Yeah.
On the 13th.
Okay.
Is there concern in your voice there, Mayor?
Well, I tried really hard last night to keep it short. I
Mhm.
love that Dan and Brad brought the businesses in. I just loved that. I think that was so important. And I just, maybe we just ask the staff to be more conscious of, you know, how, not when they end their time, but how much time they have. You have 30 minutes. It doesn't matter that we made up 15. You don't get to take another 15.
Yeah.
But I have to admit, I mean, a part of it is because I'm on water and sewer board, so I know some of that stuff, but I think it's all really good information for those that are not. So if that's how long it's supposed to take, then we just need to know ahead of time. And maybe we ask the staff, the directors, a bit more of how much time do you actually think you need? Be more realistic, and you're going to be held to it.
I think that's fair. All right, so Jade, if you can scroll down a bit, we've talked about the 20th, the 27th. So on the 27th right now we have the June 2020 financial review, kickoff of the Title 16 community outreach joint session with Planning and Zoning Commission, discussing the return to in-person meetings. And then we've slotted the executive sessions, but I think if that won't happen until we return to in-person. Allison, you were recommending?
Yeah, I think if it's not a critical issue, I just think it's more appropriate to hold off on executive sessions if there's any way we can. That's my personal opinion. If the city council wants to do less critical things, it's really their call. I just have been discouraging it.
Yeah, I don't mind doing executive session for an annual review electronically, but it's not optimal to do a review without you in the room. But I don't mind doing it to move further along. But I also think after last night, and I know this is going to be tough for the clerk and the IT folks, that, you know, 4 years ago we were talking about how do we have people call in that can't come to vote, and we set our policies so that you can't do that. That was back with Amy Martinez when she was on her honeymoon, and then we had that big blow up, and we were working on having a hybrid meeting at the meeting. And if we have council members who really cannot come, but could be in the room electronically and vote and be a part of the conversation, we've proven that it's a fairly easy thing to do, to have meetings electronically. Why not have someone call in? We used to call in all the time for study sessions. It was normative for us. There was one time one of our council members had major surgery and they were on their back and for like 4 weeks. So they called in the whole time, but that was study session. We didn't have them call into regular. But I think, anyway, I'd like to explore that possibility so that we move on. If we really have to come back in person, it's really an important thing that we figure out for a number of ways for people to be engaged.
I think people are more comfortable with the concept now that we've had to go through that. So it could be a completely different conversation.
Yeah.
And if we know that, then we can make the arrangements to make that happen.
Yeah, I think you're right. But that took us down a rabbit hole, sorry.
No, quite all right. August 3rd, right now all we have is the Citizen of the Year. August 10th, review of proposed operating budget. Nothing on September 7th, and then we just have financial reviews. We do have one public hearing on September 8th for 3002 South Huron Street for a development there. And building fire code adoption in September, and just an August financial review, September 28th.
Sounds good. I'm sure some of this will change. Okay, so should we go take a look at that list?
I did want to let you know, the 2 public hearings that we do have on here, these are the earliest times that they would come to council. So they're just put in there as placeholders currently. So they may not be necessarily these dates. They may be, you know, a date or so later. I just wanted to give you the heads up.
That's great to know. Thank you.
Yeah, so if you want to take a look at the list, actually, do you want me to just pull up the list, or Jade, do you have the survey results? I've got them on my computer if you want.
If you wouldn't mind, I don't currently have them on my computer.
Although you'll have to take notes outside of our watchful eye, which is perfectly fine. Okay. Let's see. Is it?
Yep, it's showing.
Okay, great.
So pesticide we took care of. The courts we took care of.
And Allison, on the traffic code update, the third one there, I know Dugan and Maria were working on that, but I don't know the status of that. Do you?
I don't know the status either. I sent an email requesting status during the meeting last night. So as soon as I get that back today, I'll let you know. What I told my team is I want a date, because it's complicated and they're trying to do it in the midst of everything else they're doing. So I understand what's taking so long, but I want a date. So I'll see if I can get that back to your office today, Shawn.
Okay, well, no hurry from my standpoint, but we will definitely, Mayor, try to slot that one in. Can you describe what you want to hear on the Area Agency on Aging with Dr. Cog?
Yeah, so what is her name? Always Jalen, is that her name? From
Sure.
who is the head of the AAA, has done, I've heard her do 2 or 3 presentations on the aging in our communities overall, and she has specific data to our county and Englewood that I think would be very helpful to know as we think about development, as we think about programming and what we're going to be seeing in the future, and some of the challenges that, particularly around economics and staying in place. So it's more of an informational, giving us insight so that as we're planning on things, we really aren't ignoring this group.
Okay. All right. Yeah. So we can slot that in. You know, we have light meetings in August if that's not too late. And then that'll give some time just for a couple of staff members to bone up on the topic. I'm more familiar with the code things with regard to aging. I'm allowing people to age in place, mainly from a building code standpoint, which frankly may align with your code adoption discussion in September. Because frankly, there's some good things that city councils through code can do to really help construction be housing that people can age in, as opposed to, the step ups that we have and the bathrooms that are typically not ADA, et cetera.
Yeah, and I think that's some of what she brings up too, to have cities be conscious of. Also, care, health care, what's available, what isn't in communities, what the challenges are for people without good care. Some of that is more countywide, but we can ask her to be very specific around Englewood. We did do the, what was the study called? The Boomer? Was it Boomer?
Boomer assessment?
Assessment. We did do that like 5-6 years ago. Or maybe longer. Randy Penn was on at the time, so it might have been longer. And we could redo that again. I mean, Jalen could tell us what we actually did because they did it for us. We got a grant for it, and I'm not sure. It was mostly to look at our walkability and access and things like that.
Okay. Great, that's helpful.
But I'm looking at this and it looks like communications update rated a little higher than that. But
sorry, you're right.
I realize only 4 people filled this whole thing out, so I don't know what the other 3 were thinking. They just said all these were good, put them in place. It probably doesn't matter.
Well, the good thing on communications is we can do that anytime. I mean, Chris is ready. In fact, this is actually a good time, anytime, any day now, because of the really good recovery marketing campaign that they're launching. So we'd be glad to do that whenever you're ready.
Do you want to do that during a regular meeting when we have a shorter? Well, Daniel, do you see one where we can do it where we have a shorter regular meeting list of things?
I gotta cycle back to the other one.
Yeah, Jade, I'm going to stop presenting so you can go back to your list, please.
Maybe it can go into under a manager's report or something. I don't know.
Oh.
The 20th? 20th looks good.
It does.
Okay.
You just put it in there? Yeah. Good. It would be really nice if we got all these topics off of the...
It's a living document, Mayor.
I know.
We'll keep adding to it. It's never going to go down to 0.
My whole 11 and a half years, though, it's always had a long list. But it's good to chip away at it.
Actually, Shawn, do you mind me asking in terms of the tobacco in the parks? I'm trying to think of the name of it. Where's it at?
The youth vaping?
Yeah, the youth vaping. So has Tri-County stated that they have some sort of update, or?
I haven't heard. Has anybody else on staff?
No, and honestly, Othaniel, I think that has been floating on the list for so long that what it really is was from months ago, we were just asked, are we ready to take some kind of action to update the code or something? And because we've had so much coming so fast, I don't even know the answer to that anymore.
Yeah, I'm just kind of wondering if we should ping them and just see if they have any type of update. And even if they just want to make it as part of a council request, I guess if I want to make it as part of a council request, we can do that. But that's what I thought. I didn't think that there was anything pressing at the moment.
So I think Councilmember Wink has been keen on actually having a citywide policy on this.
I think that is correct. And again, it's been too long, so we're working from my overloaded memory. But many months ago, she was noticing that some of the area cities have been adopting ordinances prohibiting youth vaping. And I think she was wanting to look at what it would take for Englewood to do that, all within the context of Englewood also looking at tobacco-free parks and those kind of things.
Correct. That's what I remember. That's what I remember this being on there for. maybe we, I'm going to talk with her this afternoon about the book reading we're going to do. I can ask her about it, see if she has any particular updates. Could we, charter amendment for election of mayor, could we postpone till, when would it be, fall of 2021? Is that, no.
No, if we're looking at, if the city council is looking at bringing a charter amendment for, looking at bringing a charter amendment for November of 2021, we really need to be getting information back to you guys in January so that you could pass an ordinance and we can jump through all the steps of getting that moving forward. So before January, I don't think it's necessary before January, but I really think it would need to roll to January.
Yeah, that'd be great. January 2021 then. Super. Then we'll remember.
And then of course, as you said last night, Mayor, we're still waiting on Excel. We've tabled the public comments, public meeting, and then you just talked about the charter amendment, but amendments. So I think actually this list will be down to 0 within two or 3 months, besides the stuff that have intentionally tabled.
Yeah, all these dog parts. When should we put a date on that so it gets looked at? Postponed indefinitely?
I put that there because I thought that's what I had heard, but I'm happy to put a date there.
All right. Yeah, I agree with those who said, we've gotten the citizens all sort of into this. We need to give them some sort of report probably. And the citizens on that committee, of course, spent time on it. So I don't want to disregard the work they did either. And nor our Parks and Rec director.
Yeah, and the other aspect of it, Mayor, was that when I was on the liaison for Parks and Rec, they've been working on this for, as you can see in the notes, it's been going back 2 years. So I think they just continued. The misunderstanding may have been they just continued where they left off, and so we just didn't communicate with them what the expectation was.
Yeah. I have to admit, makes me really nervous to go down this road again. It was such a long thing to get to the point where we had off leash, and to undo everything is going to be a really interesting process, but we definitely have to be in person for that. In my mind anyway, I don't know. I guess we can have people calling in and in person, but it's going to be a lot of, that was probably the biggest meeting I've ever seen, was dog discussion meetings.
It's good to know, Mayor. Get to prepare in advance then. I'll ask for the day off afterwards.
It'll be similar to trash hauling, probably. The boards and commission handbook update, is that something that didn't even make it onto our list of voting on? It's just really kind of keeping it there until it's ready, right? And it's August right now.
Yeah, I've been talking with Stephanie about this, and we would like to prepare to bring something back either late August or 1st of September before any new members would be applying.
Great. And then the open roads for Recreation Park, didn't we say we were going to try a couple of them? Have we done that?
Sorry. Yes, we're starting the pilot project. I don't think I didn't put that one on the list because we've already done it.
Right. So let's just take it off. We'll get an update at some point from y'all.
Right. I'm not sure how boards and commissions handbook fell off
I know
list, but sorry about that.
I believe it was added after we had sent out the survey. I could be wrong, but I believe that's why that is like that.
No.
Well, it's good. It's good that it's there. It's more of a let's get an update. Great. Looks like we've got these all kind of earmarked then.
I think so.
Nice.
And then council requests, if you're ready to move on to that.
Yep.
I'm going to reach out to Councilmember Stone since we've pushed those items off and see if we can also push off a handful of these, his requests that were all related. The one I think we should proceed with is the park rangers, because that is, excuse me, in your budget document now. I mean, you're not draft, you don't have a draft budget, but in the presentation that Parks made, they're proposing that now, so. But I'll reach out to him on some of those. And then I'll be checking on that Verizon right-of-way permit. And then Questa had one that Peter, I asked him to get me, and that was on the water, some water rate questions related to the connector districts and the tap fees. But I'm sorry, I don't have that to cite right now, but Peter sent it to me, I believe.
Great.
Did anybody else have any?
The connector thing was the big one that I remembered. Just making it a council request.
Yeah, and we already discussed the going back in person. Those are the two I had. Because I didn't bother writing down all of Member Stone's.
I did write his down, but I'm going to see if he can let us postpone some of these. And then, yeah, Peter sent it to me. Can city staff reach out to South Inglewood Sanitation District to get the methodology for their 60% sewer charge to Inglewood citizens and how it correlates to the treatment component of the charge? We actually have some, it's really none of our business, but we definitely think that there's a bit of overcharging going on there. I mean, they can do whatever they want to do on that, but these are our residents, so yeah, I think the council request is a good idea.
Well, they can do whatever they want, but it's public, right? They need to be able to disclose it, don't they?
Yes.
Yeah. Right, it looks good.
All right.
Any other questions?
Not from staff, from me.
All right, then it's 9:20 and the mayor manager meeting is adjourned. Thanks for
Thanks,
spending
everybody.